Hi, welcome back. For today's demo, I just want to show you how and why I tape the sides. And then, as you know, we have the sealer coat on the panels, 2 coats of gloss medium on the front and side, 1 coat on the back. So the final step in preparation before we start the painting is to gesso. If you want a white surface, you certainly could go ahead and paint directly on this. That would be fine. So I'm using a blue painter's tape. The edges on these smaller pieces are 1.5. So I bet the tape is 1.5. I think it's just about going to cover it. So what I want to do is bring the tape to the edge. I'm going to show you this. It's best, I think, to have just a little bit of the leading edge showing. So don't quite go up to the whole top. If you come all the way up to the top, or even you exceed the top, if you go, over the top, whoop, you're going to get a little edge on the other side, which might flop down and mask off an area you're not interested in. I'm going to do a lot of sanding on these paintings when they're done, so I think it just works a little more to my favor to leave a little bit of that edge. And then go ahead, press it down nice and firm. Hold it over a little bit on the bottom like that. Okay, why the painter's tape? It's easier to remove. It's not supposed to bleed. Sometimes I get the easy removing painter's tape. They have a yellow and a lavender. And get that white on the way I want it to, so just undo it and redo it. Okay, now that the sides, all 4 are taped, I'm going to put a strip on the back so we protect the back edge. I'm always picking up the paintings. I get a lot of fingerprints here. This is just a personal preference, doesn't really matter. I was in a show many years ago, and one of the artists had painted the back of his pieces black, and I thought, oh my God, that's so sharp. I've never gone to that extent, but I did like it. Now I'm going to cut around bars so I can fold that tape down. Let me get some scissors. I also know an artist who takes the entire back to keep it very, very clean. And again, I'm kind of jealous, but I don't really want to go to that extent. I don't think the back's that important. It's certainly not a part of the painting. Some of my older paintings are really messed up in the back. They're still good paintings. Okay, and mind you, this isn't perfect. It's not about perfection. It's just about the sides taped. So that's about as far as I'm going to go with my sides. My paintings get a lot of heavy usage on the front when I'm painting. I get thick and messy. So it's amazing to be able to remove the tape, sand the edges, and just make them look so pristine. I like the contrast in the juxtaposition of the really free, loose painting with the really manicured, as it were, sides and back, looking so professional. And then we'll get to the nitty-gritty, the gesso, the final stage before I am able to cut loose on some painting. It's scary to start new paintings. And I think some of the ritual of the preparation gets me over the fear. I get so tired of the preparation, it's like, please, can we just start? And then I'm looser and ready. Okay. One down. 9 more to go. Let's do some gesso. Okay, for the gessoing process, I'm going to flip the panel over. I'm only going to gesso the face, not the sides, not the back, just the face. Today I'm using a professional grade gesso. I prefer it. The pigment load is denser, less layers to paint on. Now, preparing a canvas is very different than preparing a panel. As you know, we don't go through all of this undercoating with gloss medium. I just start out gessoing. And I would start with a couple of thin coats of gesso. I would thin it down with water, and then for the last couple of coats, they would get thicker and thicker until the final coat, I mix molding paste with gesso and I trowel it on. That's my ritual. That's how I like my surfaces. It's very personal preference. Some people paint on raw canvas and that's fine. Panels, I'm going to just put probably a couple of coats of gesso on just so it covers it substantially. This professional grade gesso is very thick. Like I said, if it were canvas, I'd thin it down. I don't think I'm going to need to thin it down for this. Yeah, I think I can get away with the thick application. I just kind of spread it and thin it out with the brush. If I'm doing canvas, if I'm thinking about the texture, I'm working over the top of a weave and I want to make it smooth, I'm going to go horizontally, I'm going to go vertically, I'm going to go diagonal in one direction and then diagonal in another direction. And that's because I don't want to build up the grooves of brushwork. And I don't really want to build up the grooves of brushwork on my panel either, but I'm not going to get that thick with it. So it's not as crucial. If I needed it very, very smooth, I could sand it. But there really isn't any need for that, especially since I'm doing a lot of mixed media. One coat of paper over the top of this, and it completely covers up all the work I've done. Then we're dealing only with the paper. So don't get too crazy. One coat is nice. I think 2 will be a little better. Because the gesso is so thick, it is creating brush strokes. But I don't think that's going to be an issue. with this. Studios are a funny place. I try to keep mine fairly clean, but things like pieces of tape can jump onto your surface or your shoe or your shirt. It's funny. Oil paint, forget about it. That stuff travels for miles, I swear. You walk through the door and it will attack you and ruin your clothes. Acrylic doesn't seem quite as deadly, but I've ruined a fair amount of clothes with acrylics too. Okay. This is not perfect. I can see brush strokes. I can see some thin spots. That's the first coat, and I'm going to put on 2. And I'm going to do it to all 10. Then I'm going to hang them up like they're hung behind me, surrounding me in the entire studio. And I'm just going to not worry about the first few marks that I put on it. And then I'm going to respond to those marks and see what happens. So again, thank you for stopping in. I always appreciate you. I love your comments. Keep those coming, please. And go to your studios. Very, very important. Painting is a practice. Practice makes perfect. You're not going to get to the finish line without the training, okay? Thanks. We'll see you later.